Probier TV on the road, and I'm in South Africa. Not only in South Africa, I'm in Cape Town, one of my favorite cities around the world. And I came here beer-wise, and now I'm at Afro Carribean Brewing Company, and with me is owner and founder and mastermind and good spirit, Greg. Hi, Greg.
How are you guys?
Pretty good, pretty good. We had an awesome night here, tasting your great beers. But I was told you are the one to talk to when it comes to the history of craft beer in South Africa. So how did it all start?
Okay, so craft beer in South Africa. Jeez, it goes... Look, craft beer has been around a long time in South Africa, but sort of hidden away. But I think in 2007, I think there was Jack Black Brewing Company started. So Ross from Jack Black started contract brewing a lager. Alongside him was Andy Union. A bunch of guys had a bar. Again, they also started contracting a beer. And
sorry to interrupt you. And Union.
And Union.
Are those the guys that are based in Europe?
Yeah, based in Europe. So
you guys get this beer back home?
Yeah, you guys get this beer back home. So they started a company here and had it brewed in Germany, shipped it here. The difference was, number one, it was different flavor. It was something that was besides a lager. Like pale ales, I think they did like a Weiss beer, things like that. So it was something that all of a sudden came about. The other difference was it was about 8 times the price of a normal beer in South Africa. And this drove like this whole new sort of, what's this new beer? It's craft, and that's really where it started driven. Even though Mitchell's had been around a long time, there'd been breweries before, these two brands, they were more brand orientated. So they really started growing this this sort of premium market. From there, Boston Brewery, who had been around longer than them, had a new rebirth and they grew. And then Darling started. Again, also, if only Darling Brewery, Jack Black Brewery, and a few of these other breweries are all brewed out of Boston as a contract brew. However, it sort of springboarded the whole industry. Like by 2010, we had about 6 or 7 breweries really making these new different beers.
Right.
That stage, I moved Banana Jam from a little 50-seater restaurant into a 200-seater restaurant. I got super into craft beer. I traveled to the States, came back and said, you know what I'm going to do? Screw this other lager stuff. I'm going to start doing these craft beers. By halfway through 2011, I had 18 beers on tap. I was bringing beers in from Rogue, Cisco, Peak in America. I was bringing beers from Joburg and Potchefstroom and all over South Africa.
But did you sell your own beer at the time?
No. So we started out, I had a passion for beer. I've always had a passion for beer. So
just been a beer bar then?
Yeah, so we've always been a Caribbean restaurant.
Okay.
But beer was my passion. So, and even today, cocktails are almost as a bigger seller as beer in our restaurant. But beer is a huge part of what we do. And back then, we just started growing this new sort of style of beer where people could come and try an IPA and this and that, and we started importing beers like IPAs and pastry stouts because no one even knew how to brew them here. And then as that grew, more breweries were opening up and things like that. And eventually we decided, the rand dollar was never that great and it got worse.
Yeah.
So we couldn't really afford to bring those beers in, and then I used to homebrew, and then a friend of mine decided we'll start a brewery upstairs at Banana Jam. So we built it upstairs, started Afro Carribean Company in 2015. We'd been homebrewing for about 6 years by then, and started selling our own beer, and then slowly progressed into 30 taps downstairs, a full upstairs, which is now just brewery. And that's our story.
But talking about today, do you know how many craft beer breweries are around here in South Africa?
At one stage there were about 160. I think they moved into the 200s. Okay. Then COVID hit.
So it's still a small scene.
Yeah, no, we're looking at maybe 250 breweries at max, and they're struggling. We have an economy with. A huge, I always say in South Africa there's 10% of the country that can afford craft beer, and out of that maybe 2% want to drink craft beer. So we're still in a very, very small market, But the amazing thing, it makes it passionate. You know, everyone in this market is passionate. We're all striving to do new and different things, which is exciting.
But passion pays off. You're drinking a beer that was awarded Best of Show last year. It's the Space
2021.
2021. And I'm going to review this one maybe later on this night, if the can makes it home safely. It's the Space.
Sorry.
I'll give it another. But anyway, it's a double dry hop.
It's a double IPA. Double dry hop, double IPA. A great story. A good friend of mine's kid was doing a drawing of a space llama, like a llama with a space helmet on. Around the same time, I'd scribbled down a recipe for one of my brewers to brew. I'd come back from the States. I tried all these really big beers, and I was like, I need to do something like seriously solid. New England, double dry hopped. I wanted it up at 9%. Scribbled down a recipe, gave it to my brewer, sitting having a beer with my mates a week later, and I was like, what are you drawing? He's like, it's a space llama. And I was like, what a great beer name. And I went off and I did the design work. I do the design work for most of my beers myself. Did the design work, and we came up with Space Llama. And 2 years later, it won Best Beer in Africa.
But even though it's an award-winning beer, what would you consider to be a signature beer here at Afro Carribean?
So one of our first beers we ever did was Hop Session, before we even had the brewery, and that we really, myself and my friend Sean Duthie, we wanted to make a hoppy pale ale, like something that wasn't big in flavor, low in ABV, like 5%, 4.8. That is our first signature beer. Since then we grew and we did a lot of different beers, like obviously your pale ales and your lagers.
Right.
And then again, after a trip to the States, I came back and did Jungle Paradise, which won Best Beer in South Africa in 2019. That is our signature IPA in our core range, where I think Hop Session is our signature pale ale, and then obviously Space Llama, which we only brew 3 times a year, is our signature double IPA. I call it our unicorn beer. Okay. So those are really big ones. But you know, I think last year we did 46 new beers last year. Wow. So again, the beauty,
that's one each week,
pretty much. Yeah. The beauty of having a brewery where we have 250, 500, and 1,200 liter tanks and a 5 hectoliter system, it enables us to brew a lot of new stuff. My brewers are always experimenting. I think, and again, for me, that's what I feel craft. When people say to me, what is craft beer? And I'm like, it's about experimentation. It's about learning. It's about growth.
And about variety.
And variety. Yeah. So my brewers can brew a beer, like even if we brew the same beer again and again, it's in such small quantities that we've got to brew it like sometimes once every 3 weeks, which allows them to dial in dial those beers in a lot, which is really important for quality. And again, the amount of things you learn on that, on brewing so many, like we brew almost every single day of the week.
Yeah.
What you learn and the way you can dial in your brew house and everything is really, really important.
So if people are now curious about tasting your beers, I'm pretty sure you don't export to foreign countries.
Not to foreign countries. We do have acbc.co.za, so if you're in South Africa, you can order online. Otherwise,
you have to come to South Africa.
Come to South Africa. Come to the brewery. South Africa is Banana Jam Cafe and Afro Carribean Brewing Company. It's an incredible country. There's so much you can do. Drop me a line. I'll take you around. I'm not always around, but when I am, I'll bring you up to the brewery. We'll have a beer. Always over the barrel.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And see you next time.
I hope so.
Cheers.
Cheers.